Eleanor loved her home. It had been her sanctuary for over 40 years, a place filled with memories, laughter, and the comforting scent of old books and fresh brewed tea. But lately, something felt off. No matter how much she cleaned or rearranged, her house felt stuck in time, like it was aging faster than she was. Ever walk into a room and feel like it's dragging you backward instead of moving you forward? That's because small, unnoticed details can make a home feel older than it is, and not in a charming, vintage way. Today, we're uncovering 12 surprising reasons your home feels outdated and how to fix them fast. The first one? Well, let's just say it might be blocking the very thing your home needs most. 1. Heavy, dark curtains that block. Natural light. Eleanor never thought much about her curtains. They were thick and velvety and had been hanging in her living room since the 1980s. Back then, they made the space feel cozy, warm, and elegant. But lately, they just made everything feel heavy. One afternoon, her daughter stopped by and casually pulled them open. The difference was shocking. Sunlight flooded the room, bouncing off the walls, instantly making the space feel fresher, bigger, and more alive. "You should swap these out, Mom," her daughter said, laughing. "It's like a cave in here." Eleanor scoffed at the idea. These curtains had history. They'd seen birthdays, holidays, and even a few grandbaby forts built underneath them. But later that night, she couldn't shake the feeling that her daughter might be right. Here's the truth. Heavy, dark curtains can make a home feel older, closed off, and smaller than it is. Natural light is one of the easiest ways to refresh a space. But if your windows are covered in thick, outdated fabrics, you're blocking out the very thing that can make your home feel brighter and more welcoming. The next morning, Eleanor did something bold. She pulled down the old curtains and replaced them with soft linen panels. The result? Instant transformation. The room felt bigger, fresher, and more alive. And just like that, her home took its first step out of the past. 2. Outdated light fixtures that cast a yellow glow. Eleanor never really noticed her lighting until she visited her friend Carol's house. The moment she stepped inside, something felt different. It wasn't the furniture and it wasn't the decor. It was the light. Carol's home felt bright, welcoming, and modern. Eleanor's, in contrast, suddenly felt like it was stuck in an old movie. "You switched your lights?" Eleanor asked, squinting at the sleek, white glow bulbs in the ceiling. "Oh," Carol laughed. "You have no idea how much old lighting ages a home. I got rid of those horrible yellow bulbs and swapped out the fixtures, too. Made the biggest difference." Eleanor went home and took a good hard look at her lights. Dingy, yellow, dim. No wonder her home felt old. The reality is that lighting sets the tone for a space. Old, outdated fixtures and yellow-tinted bulbs make everything look dull, tired, and older than it is. Eleanor swapped her bulbs that same afternoon, and the change was unbelievable. The white light made her walls look crisper, her furniture fresher, and the entire space more modern. And when she turned on her new table lamp that evening, she couldn't stop smiling. 3. Overstuffed furniture, making spaces feel cramped. Eleanor loved her furniture. Every piece had a story. The floral love seat? She bought it when she and her husband moved into their first home. The massive oak coffee table? A family heirloom passed down from her mother. The oversized recliner? Her late husband's favorite seat. But here's the problem. There was just too much of it. One afternoon, Eleanor's grandson, Jake, stopped by and plopped onto the couch. "Grandma," he said, stretching his legs, "why do you have so many chairs in here?" Eleanor blinked. "What do you mean?" He gestured around. "There's no room to walk. I have to turn sideways just to get to the window. It's like a furniture maze in here. Eleanor looked around and for the first time saw it from his perspective. Her living room wasn't cozy. It was crowded. The truth is that too much furniture can make even the biggest room feel cramped, outdated, and overwhelming. But letting go, that's the hard part. After a deep breath, Eleanor made a decision. She donated the oversized recliner, her husband's chair, to a local community center where she knew it would be used and loved. With the extra space, her living room felt instantly lighter, fresher, and more inviting. And best of all, it still felt like home. Eleanor stood back and admired her living room. Lighter curtains, fresher lighting, and an open, airy feel. It already felt like a different home. But the real game changer? That was coming next. Because Eleanor was about to face the one design element that had been holding her home back for years. 4. Outdated paint colors and wallpaper. Eleanor stood in the middle of her hallway, staring at the walls. It had never really bothered her before. The soft beige color, the floral wallpaper border near the ceiling, the way the patterns curled ever so slightly at the edges. But now, after making her living room feel lighter and fresher, something about it seemed wrong. She ran her fingers over the wallpaper. It was the same design she had chosen over 30 years ago. Back then, it was in style. But now, it was holding her home in the past. Here's a surprising truth. Paint and wallpaper can instantly age a home. Even if everything else is modern, outdated colors and patterns can make a space feel decades older. Ditch dark, dull, or outdated colors like beige, mustard yellow, or deep red. Go for fresh, modern neutrals like warm whites, soft grays, or light pastels to open up the space. If you love color, add an accent wall. A pop of sage green, soft blue, or terracotta can bring life to a room. Eleanor decided to peel back the wallpaper. Underneath, she found smooth walls just waiting for a fresh start. She chose a soft, warm white with a hint of blush. And once the paint dried, she was amazed. The hallway felt brand new, brighter, cleaner, and finally in sync with the rest of her home. And just like that, she discovered how powerful a coat of paint could be. 5. Old, heavy carpets that trap dust and smell. Musty after the paint, Eleanor felt a rush of momentum until she took a deep breath and realized something still didn't feel right. There was a smell, not strong, not terrible, but old. She couldn't quite place it, but the house still carried a musty undertone no matter how much she cleaned. Then it hit her. The carpets. Eleanor's house had been fully carpeted since the 1970s. It had been deep cleaned a few times, sure, but carpets hold on to everything. Dust, pet dander, even the sense of old spills. No matter how clean your home looks, old carpets can make it feel tired, stuffy, and outdated. She knew ripping out all the carpeting would be a big job, so she started small. The hallway runner. As soon as she rolled it up, a cloud of dust puffed into the air. That was all the proof she needed. If you're feeling stuck with old carpets, deep clean them first. If you're not ready to remove them, a professional steam cleaning can eliminate years of built-up dust and odors. Swap old rugs for fresh, modern options. Large, neutral area rugs can make a space feel modern without a complete overhaul. If possible, consider hard flooring. Laminate, vinyl planks, or hardwood can instantly make a home feel cleaner, fresher, and more updated. Eleanor wasn't quite ready to remove all the carpets, but she swapped out the older rugs for light, plush ones in neutral tones. And just like that, the musty smell disappeared. Her home felt fresher, cleaner, and more breathable than it had in years. 6. Outdated wall art and too many knickknacks. With her new curtains, brighter lighting, fresh paint, and cleaner floors, Eleanor's home was finally coming together. But as she stood in the middle of her living room, something still didn't sit right. Her walls were covered in random framed prints from decades ago, ones she had bought simply to fill space. Her shelves, packed with tiny figurines, mismatched souvenirs, and sentimental trinkets. That's when it hit her. Even small details like art and decor can make a home feel cluttered and outdated. The problem wasn't the sentimental items, it was the excess. Replace generic, outdated artwork with pieces that bring joy. This could be framed family photos, modern prints, or even a DIY canvas painting. Declutter shelves and surfaces. Keep only the most meaningful or beautiful pieces on display. Less clutter equals a more elegant, updated feel. Create intentional decor moments. Instead of covering every surface, focus on a few well-placed items, like a single statement vase on a table instead of 5 mismatched trinkets. Eleanor started small, removing just a handful of unnecessary pieces. And to her surprise, the room instantly felt calmer. She swapped a few old prints for a framed black and white photo of her wedding day. She kept her favorite porcelain bird figurine, but let go of the rest. And when she stepped back, she realized something huge. For the first time in decades, her home wasn't just a collection of things, it was a reflection of the life she loved now. 7. Dated kitchen cabinets and hardware. Eleanor stood in her kitchen, hands on her hips, staring at the cabinets. They were solid wood, sturdy as ever, but the dark stain, the bulky design, and the golden brass handles that screamed 1975 made the whole room feel stuck in time. She loved this kitchen. It was where she made Sunday breakfasts, where her grandkids sat on stools giggling over pancakes, where she and her husband used to slow dance while waiting for the kettle to boil. But no matter how clean and organized it was, it still felt old. Then she saw it. Her friend Carol's kitchen makeover. Carol had simply painted her cabinets, swapped the handles, and added modern lighting. No expensive renovation, no tearing things apart, just small, smart changes that made a massive impact. Eleanor grabbed a paint swatch and chose a soft, warm gray, modern but classic. With a little sanding and a fresh coat of paint, her kitchen was instantly brighter and fresher. Then came the hardware. She swapped those brassy handles for sleek matte black pulls, and suddenly her cabinets looked brand new. When Eleanor stepped back and admired her work, she smiled. No demolition, no stress, just a simple update that made her kitchen feel fresh and full of life again. 8. Old appliances that are inefficient and bulky. The kettle wheezed, struggling to boil. The toaster took 3 tries to crisp a slice of bread. And the microwave? Let's just say it was older than some of Eleanor's grandkids. For years, she held onto these appliances, thinking, if they still work, why replace them? But lately, she noticed the little things. How the old fridge hummed like an airplane engine. How the stovetop burners took forever to heat up. How her countertops felt cluttered with outdated gadgets she barely used. Then one day, her grandson Jake came over, placed his phone next to her ancient toaster, and said, "Grandma, I think this toaster is older than me." That was the moment Eleanor realized. Holding on to outdated appliances wasn't just making her home feel older. It was making daily tasks harder. Eleanor wasn't about to gut her kitchen and start from scratch. But with just a few simple swaps, it felt modern, efficient, and, most importantly, hers again. 9. Poorly placed or mismatched rugs that break up a room. Eleanor had rugs everywhere, one in the entryway, one in the hallway, a small one in front of the sink, another under the kitchen table. Each one had a different pattern, a different texture, and a different decade attached to it. She never thought much about them until she visited her neighbor, Margaret, who had a beautiful open-concept living area. Everything flowed seamlessly, with just one large rug grounding the space. It felt cohesive, elegant, and modern. Eleanor looked at her own floors again. Her rugs weren't helping. They were chopping up the space, making everything feel smaller and more cluttered. Here's why the right rug placement changes everything. It makes a space feel bigger. Instead of multiple small rugs breaking up a room, one large one creates a seamless, more open feel. It adds modern elegance. A simple, neutral rug choice can instantly refresh a space without overpowering it. It eliminates tripping hazards. Mismatched rugs can make a room feel cluttered and create safety issues, especially if they slip or curl at the edges. When Eleanor laid down her new rug, she stepped back and took it all in. Her kitchen and dining space no longer felt like separate, disconnected areas. It felt unified, open, and modern. And for the first time in decades, she felt truly at home in her space. 10. Lack of greenery and fresh plants. Eleanor's home had transformed before her eyes, lighter, fresher, more modern. But as she walked into her bedroom, something still felt missing. It was clean, organized, and decluttered, but it lacked life. Then she thought about Carol's home. Every time she visited, there was a certain energy, something that made the space feel vibrant and peaceful at the same time. And then it clicked. Plants. Eleanor had never been much of a gardener, and the idea of caring for plants seemed like too much work. However, after some research, she found out that even a single plant could completely change the feel of a room. So she started small. A snake plant on her nightstand. It didn't require much care, but instantly made the space feel fresher. Then, she added a peace lily in the corner, which brought a soft, elegant touch. And finally, a small pot of lavender on her dresser filled the room with a natural, relaxing scent. And just like that, her bedroom went from a plain sleeping space to a calming retreat. Eleanor couldn't believe how much of a difference a few plants made. They didn't just decorate her space, they brought it to life. 11. Outdated bedding and heavy drapes in the bedroom. Eleanor loved her bedroom, but her bed? That was another story. She had layers of heavy blankets, floral pillowcases from the 80s, and a thick, dark comforter that made the room feel heavy. It had been that way for years. Back when she shared the bed with her husband, back when heavy comforters were the norm. But now, it felt bulky, dark, and completely outdated. One afternoon, while flipping through a home magazine, she saw a photo of a modern bedroom. Soft, light bedding, crisp white sheets, airy curtains gently swaying in the breeze. It looked peaceful, effortless. She decided to make the change. First, she swapped her heavy comforter for a light, breathable duvet in a soft, neutral tone. Then she replaced her old floral sheets with crisp, hotel-quality cotton ones. And finally, she removed the dark, heavy drapes and replaced them with sheer white curtains that let in the morning light without sacrificing privacy. That night, as Eleanor slipped into bed, she felt something unexpected. Peace. She never realized how a simple change in bedding could completely transform the way she felt in her room. 12. Ignoring technology that can enhance everyday life. Eleanor had always been a little skeptical about new technology. Smart home devices, voice assistants, motion sensor lights. They all seemed a little too futuristic. But then, one evening, she fumbled for the light switch in the dark and nearly tripped over a chair. And she thought, maybe a little technology wouldn't be so bad after all. The next day, she started small, a motion sensor nightlight. No more stumbling in the dark. As soon as she got up, a soft glow illuminated the floor. It was a small change, but it made a world of difference. Encouraged, she tried something else, a smart plug for her bedside lamp. Now, with just a simple voice command, She could turn the light on or off without getting up. And finally, she gave in and got a voice assistant. At first, she wasn't sure she'd even use it, but within days, she was setting reminders, playing music, and even getting the weather report without lifting a finger. Eleanor never thought she'd embrace technology, but here she was, enjoying the little conveniences that made her home feel modern and effortless. As she sat in her refreshed, comfortable, and welcoming home, she realized something. This wasn't about changing her home. It was about making it feel like the best version of itself. Who knew a few small tweaks could take your home from Grandma's time capsule to fresh, modern, and totally you? Now tell me, which update are you tackling first? Drop it in the comments. Let's celebrate your home glow up together. Bonus points if it involves ditching those ancient curtains.